Hi, I'm Kim Skildum-Reid from Power Sponsorship. Now, if you've ever wondered about all the various facets of a corporate sponsorship manager role, you're in the right place. And corporate sponsorship managers are often really misunderstood, and the jobs are sometimes spec to be nearly administrative when they're so not. If your organization is doing sponsorship in a best practice way or moving in that direction, the corporate sponsorship role is multifaceted and super strategic. So what you're going to learn in this short video are the core responsibilities of a corporate sponsorship manager and the strategic impact of all those responsibilities. Now, the first one we're going to go over is probably the one that sponsorship managers get the most, which is gatekeeper. Like, it's your job to actually go through the mountains of unsolicited and solicited proposals, plus all of the letters of request and the prospectuses and all the emails saying, please sponsor me, and all the messages on social saying, please sponsor me, I have, 20,000 followers or whatever. Now, most of those are awful. They are awful, and it takes up a lot of time. I mean, it could take up all of your time if you gave it all of your time, and I have seen sponsorship managers where this literally takes up 90% of your time. I don't recommend that at all. It's always going to be part of the job, but you can minimize the impact of all of that and the time that you spend on it by implementing a really good set of sponsorship guidelines and making them very easy for a rights holder to find online on your website, all of the sort of incoming places where you get sponsorships like regional managers, CEO, et cetera, they should all have a copy of this. So the first thing that happens is that a prospective partner will get your sponsorship guidelines. Now, what that will mean is that you're going to get fewer proposals because a lot of people will go, oh, this looks like a lot of work. They want a lot from us, and they just won't bother to send in those crappy proposals, or they're going to send in a proposal, submit a proposal that is actually fantastic, or at least much better than normal. So you'll get fewer, better proposals, and it will take up less of your time, so you can spend more of your time doing the strategic stuff. So yay for that. Now, I'm going to give you a link to a sponsorship guidelines template in the description of this video. Now, the next part of the job is, again, one of those parts of the job that most sponsorship managers do. So these first two are typical, and then the rest of them are much less typical. And so the second one is the relationship manager, which is about building and managing, mostly managing, the partnerships with rights holders. So a decision is made oftentimes someplace else, usually a brand manager, and then it reverts to you for most of the relationship management. And that's fine, that's cool. Basically, your job is to ensure that both you, your brand, and the property are achieving their respective objectives, and also to add value to the partnership. So, rights holders should be adding value to your benefits, but you should also be seeking to help them out with their objectives if and when you can, and that would be your job. Now, one of the most important jobs for a corporate sponsorship manager is internal consultant. Now, here's the thing. In a best practice sponsorship scenario, you want brand managers to be owning the sponsorships. They made the decision. Their objectives are the primary objectives that are getting met by this sponsorship. But you know what? They're not specialists in sponsorship. So for them, the brand managers, and also for all of the other stakeholders that may be leveraging this sponsorship, you're the internal consultant that actually brings expertise to the table. You also coordinate cross-departmental, activities, leverage activities that might be like, HR and social, or sales and marketing, or something like that. And you are helping to bring those parties together and coordinate all of that. Alongside the brand manager, you will also be managing renewals, and if there needs to be any midterm renegotiations, which are not nearly as difficult as they may sound. And also, big picture, you need to ensure that the sponsorship continues to align with broader business and brand goals. Now, getting toward the end of the sponsorship, One of your big jobs is information collator. Now, a great sponsorship is going to be integrated across a bunch of different departments, and those departments all have their own objectives. So they could have brand objectives, sales objectives, HR objectives, social objectives, all of them. And they're all going to be measuring the sponsorship against those objectives. Your job is not to measure the sponsorship. Your job is to collate all of that, saying, this is our benchmark, this was what we projected, and this was the actual against all of these objectives. So your job is to wrangle all that and summarize it for key decision makers, particularly senior executives. Now, again, you don't generally conduct this research personally. Generally, there are other people that will manage all of that, but you're the one that wrangles it all together. Another big job for you is upskiller. So that is about providing the training or other capacity building around sponsorship for your organization. This can be a really high leverage thing, not only training your team, the sponsorship team, but also doing short, sharp training for those broader stakeholders so they can actually see and identify where there are opportunities for sponsorship and how leverage really brings it to life for all sorts of departments, not just marketing. So so you can actually teach them or hire somebody to teach them how to do that. You may also support your partners, the rights holders, with capacity development. Now, this is one of those things that happens a lot for me, and that is that sponsors often identify rights holders that have a great property, and you sponsor that property, but the rights holder is just bloody clueless. They're so clueless. So you could, as part of your job as upskiller, you could provide them with a little bit of training, register them for a workshop, register them for some online training, buy them a really good book in their area and say basically, look, not to be mean here, but your skills are doing a disservice to the quality of the property that you're selling. And if you can spend a little bit of time upgrading that, we could have a much more fruitful relationship. And so I get a lot of these types of people in my workshops and in my online training. So that is an option. I'm not saying it's the only option. There are plenty of options. But upskilling your partners can be a really, really low-cost, high-leverage way to get more out of your partnerships. So the upshot of all of this is that a corporate sponsorship manager is much, much more than an administrator. So what you want to do is you want to minimize the admin parts of the role, which largely include being a gatekeeper, and you do that with sponsorship proposal guidelines, while then putting more effort into the more strategic and capacity building areas of your job. You really are a linchpin for great results. Like, you may not be the big decision maker for big investments, and that is fair enough, but you are indispensable if you're doing this right. One of the interesting parts about a corporate sponsorship manager job is if you are doing it right and there is all this integration and you're working and leading this sort of multifaceted stakeholder team of people that are interested in departments that are interested in the sponsorship and they don't work for you, that is an amazing thing. You're going to end up with a great working understanding of all different components of your organization's marketing and sales functions. So that is absolutely fantastic. But the thing is, this is not a job for a junior person. It needs somebody with some experience, some skills, some credibility, leadership skills, and also, frankly, the charisma to lead a whole team of people that don't work for you. So it's a really interesting thing because recently I've started seeing a trend where really good corporate sponsorship managers that have that understanding cross-departmentally and also know how to lead this disparate kind of team of stakeholders often end up in line to be CMOs. So you never know where your job could take you if you do it right. So what I want you to do is to identify your strengths in all of these areas of development. I also would really like you to like, subscribe, and comment on which of these various facets of your job are your strengths or which you could do some work on. Now, if you want a deeper dive, there is a link to a related blog in the video description. There's also lots more resources for you on my website, powersponsorship.com. The links to the website, some other blogs, additional resources, and also how to work with me are in the video description. See you next time.